Hey, hey, hey. How are you today? I'm Justina from Just Classical, and today I'm going to talk to you about getting started with homeschooling. Now, I am a musician, and my signature course is the Composer Detective. So check that out at Just Classical. But I also am passionate about helping moms to organize their lives, and especially new homeschooling moms. I have some tips for you today. And I have 3 kids, and I've been homeschooling for 10 years. So I thought that when I started homeschooling that I was going to choose something, and I did a lot of research, and it was very confusing at first. But it is okay to switch your plans. So if you're not a new homeschooling mom, just know these tips will help you too. And it's okay to make changes mid-course. There's a lot of research you can do, but ultimately you're going to need to see the needs of your child. So let me give you the tips. So what you need to get started homeschooling. Well, first of all, this is the most important thing, know your why. So homeschooling is hard. Homeschooling is a full-time job. So make sure you know your reasons for homeschooling so that when the going gets tough, you remember why you made this choice. That's going to be very individual and personal for each of us. We're going to share some of our whys, but for you, you need to know why you're doing this, and then you can help stick with it. So think through what subjects also that you want to include and why you want to include those subjects. So that's also very personal. There are state requirements, but we each have different reasons why we include certain things that we think are important or that are important for our family culture. So as a musician, of course, I include music. And I also think that it helps make a well-rounded person. And music helps with learning in so many other ways. But maybe you're an artist and you want to include art. We also do include art. And physical education. Those are some of the areas that don't get, well, they're the ones that get cut easily in the public schools. And maybe they don't seem like a priority even as a homeschooler, but maybe they should be included in your homeschool. Obviously, we want reading and writing and math and spelling, but our kids are going to have different needs in those areas as well. So think through what subjects you want to include and why as well. So number 1, know your why. Number 2 tip for getting started with homeschooling is know your state requirements. So each state has different requirements. It's not a federal across the United States thing, or if you live in a different country, you're going to need to know your country's requirements. So in the United States, we have something called the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. They have a great webpage. It's hslda.org. And they have a list of state-by-state homeschool requirements, or you can probably just type in your state and homeschool requirements and find out exactly what you need to know for your state. So there's going to be different state laws. You're going to need to know how many days a year you need to homeschool, how many hours each day are required, and at what age those hours start to be counted. I believe in my state, those hours don't begin until they're age 7. So if you have a little one, if you're thinking about homeschooling and you've got a preschooler, then don't worry about doing 4 hours of school a day, starting this year when they're 3 or 4. But that's just something that by the time they're 7, you're going to work up to 4 hours a day. You're also going to want to know the grading requirements and testing requirements. Do you need a portfolio, or can you just keep a grade book? Those kind of things. And then you're also going to need to know what subjects to teach in each grade. So all of that is under your homeschool state requirements. Go to your state website or hslda.org to get more information on that. All right, so number 3, for getting started with homeschooling, you need to know your goals. So consider what your child should be learning this year according to his or her age and grade. And then make goals in the areas of things like spiritual and character growth, social and emotional development, physical skills, and academics. So it's important to have goals so you know what you're aiming at, and you can make goals for your children. And it's helpful to know what they're supposed to be learning in each grade level. But the benefit of homeschooling too is we can adjust things according to our child's needs. We don't have to have them be exactly the same as every third grader in public school, for example. If our child is behind in a subject area, we can spend a little more time on that. And then that child doesn't even know that they're behind other third graders of their age, perhaps. Or if our child's ahead in math, we can let him run ahead of other kids his age. So there's a lot of flexibility in it, but know your goals for your child. So the next thing, number 4, is know your family's needs. Now, this does require that you know your children. So we'll start with that. As I have already segueing from the previous number of know your goals for your child. So take time to get to know your children and consider each of your children's interests and strengths and weaknesses. And then think about things like fine and gross motor skills, their spiritual character, their emotional and educational needs. Some people have special needs kids, some people have gifted kids, so know your own child. And they might be gifted in one area, but delayed in another area. So you just need to know all those things about your child. And remember that homeschooling is an opportunity to build a relationship with your child. Now, this is all part of knowing your family's needs, so know your children, but also each family has its own culture and needs and likes and dislikes. We each have our time commitments and plans. So remember this, your family does not have to look like other homeschool families, nor does your family need to imitate public education. But you do need to know your own needs. So when you know your needs, it's easier to choose a method and curriculum that best fit your family. So ask questions about which parent will do the teaching of the various subjects. When will the learning occur? Now, public schools, right? It's usually 7:30 or 8 to about 3 o'clock. You don't have to fit in those hours if that doesn't work for your family. So when will learning occur is a good question to ask. What location will you do your learning? Will you have a special homeschool area? Will you all sit at the kitchen table and work together? Or we have a desk in each room for individual children to do individual work? So you know the needs in your own home as to your space. So what space? Where will the learning occur? And who will be in the home at the times of learning? So some people babysit extra kids, or maybe you have grandma who comes over at certain times, or a grandma who lives with you. So who will be in the home? And you'll have to consider the needs of everybody else in the home besides even the kids being schooled. Also, what family situations may inhibit or help with homeschooling? So if you have grandma coming over, maybe grandma's going to watch the younger kids while you homeschool. Or maybe grandma is living with you because grandma needs lots of extra care. So those are things that are going to inhibit your perfect schedule, right? So think through those things. And then what potential distractions might occur? So think through all these things. And that's number 4, know your family's needs. All right, number 5 is know your method. So there are a variety of homeschool philosophies and curriculum. There are things like classical education and Charlotte Mason and unschooling and eclectic, all kinds of ideas of how to homeschool kids. So know your method, and you can take a quiz that will help you understand what your method is. Now, your method might be a little different than what's best for your kids, so you're going to have to mesh those together. But just go on the internet, type in homeschooling style quiz, and you will find at least one, probably many, quizzes that will help you to determine what is the best philosophy that fits your family. And then once you know the method or philosophy that you want to use, then you can start choosing curriculum. Now, when you choose curriculum, you're going to want to also look at reviews and read about the different curriculum that fit the philosophy that you like. So read the curriculum and reviews, and a great one is called Kathy Duffy Homeschool Curriculum Reviews. So she also has a website that you can go and look at reviews to find the curriculum that's best going to fit your family and your personalities, according to the method or philosophy you think fits your family best. So that's number 5, know your method. For number 6, know your plan. So make a plan for your school year and then break it down into monthly, weekly, and daily plans. If you have a good plan, you will not feel overwhelmed, and your homeschool and your family life will run more smoothly. So if you don't have a plan and you're winging it, I've tried that before. It didn't go over very well. But it is a good idea to have a plan, and it is possible, and your plans can change. Just give yourself grace. You can make your plans in pencil, and you can erase and change things. So number 6, know your plan. The other thing about the plan, though, before I move on actually, is you're going to want to choose a starting and ending date for your school year. So you need to take into consideration, again, the state requirements for the number of days your child must receive instruction, and think about the breaks you're going to take. And then you can choose your beginning date and your end date based on that. Then you'll also want to figure out how many days of the school year it will take to finish the curriculum for each subject, and how many days a week you need to work on each subject. So then you'll want to break this down into monthly, weekly, and daily plans also. Okay, one more tip for getting started, and that is number 7, know your limits. So determine your schedule and your activities carefully. Be realistic about what you and your children can do, and be realistic that you can't do everything, and you don't want to overcommit yourselves. So if you're overcommitting yourself, if you don't know your limits, if you're trying to do too much, and it's hard to say no, because I want my kids to do everything, that's for sure. But if we don't make limits, then that will lead to overwhelm, exhaustion, and potentially burnout. So you do need to protect yourself in these ways. So I have a page that has this information on it. I will put it in the comments, and you can get it free. And I also have a homeschool planner called the Thriving at Home Homeschool Planner, which will help you think through these questions and so much more, as well as plan your personal life and your homeschool life. So take a look at my homeschool planner. And I have a course as well that will help you work through all of this. That's even better than the homeschool planner, because it walks you through all of the things that you need to think about in balancing your home life and your homeschool life. So my course is called Thriving at Homeschool, and it is open until June 7th. So I will also put the link for that in there. And I hope that you will join me in one of these things, whether it's the homeschool planner, getting my freebie, or joining me in Thriving at Homeschool. And I'm also doing another webinar on Monday, which is the 7 biggest mistakes homeschool moms make and ways to avoid them. So I'll also share a link for that if you'd like to join my webinar and learn how you can manage your home and homeschool life so you're thriving, not just surviving. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope these tips were helpful. And again, just pick up the freebie. It has all the information I just shared, all 7 points of what you need to know to get started homeschooling. All right, thanks. Have a great day.